Hey, Intro to Algebra students, taking a look at Unit 3, Lesson 13, more solutions to linear equations. You should have this worksheet in front of you, and we're going to take a look at choosing a value for x and then solving to find the right y. So our job in these first few problems is simply to pick a value for x. So I'm just going to say, okay, if x is equal to 2, then I'm going to find what the y value is. Again, I'm just choosing a random x value there. So I would plug in that 2 for x, and I write the rest of the equation. In algebraic form, we're working downward. 6 times 2 is 12. And I get equals 7y. And then I can divide both sides by 7 to find out what y is equal to. Do that and enter your answer on Edpuzzle. Now that comes out to not a real pretty number, so I'm going to say about 1.7, or we could write exactly 12 sevenths, and so the ordered pair would be 2 and 12 sevenths for that. And then let's take a look at number 2. Now, again, we're just picking a value for x. I'm going to go ahead and say x is equal to 3, and so we're kind of looking at the ordered pair 3 comma something, and we plug in 3 for x. And the idea is that you are able to solve for y. Now, to do that, you do the arithmetic that you can. So we do our arithmetic here. 5 times 3 is 15, and watch as I'm bringing down the rest of the equation. Now I need to try and get this 3y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. This is equation solving, and that gives me, that cancels over there, and you get 3y is equal to, and then you're going to do 9 minus 15, which gives you negative 6. And then to get y by itself, you should be able to divide both sides by 3. Those will cancel over here and get y is equal to. Go ahead and enter your answer on Edpuzzle. And you should get an answer of negative 2. So the ordered pair that would work is 3, negative 2. All right. Let's pick a value for x here. Let's pick the value of x is negative 3. And we're going to find y. So again, you just write the equation the way it's given to you, but you plug in your x value. You do the arithmetic that you can do. Here we're going to multiply this, which gives us a positive 1. And then that would give us y plus 6 equals 7. I'd like you to finish that up and solve for y and enter your answer on Edpuzzle. And you should have subtracted 6 from both sides and get y is equal to 1. So the ordered pair would be negative 3, 1. The next part we're looking at has to do with looking at whether or not something works for a solution. And I think it's going to be a good idea if you take each line and highlight it in a color. So I'm going to go ahead and go over at line M here in a color. And I'm going to pick a different color for each line. This is line N. And here's line L. And that way you can see that the X and Y axis are the black lines. Just helps you kind of distinguish between them. And we're going to decide if each statement is true or false, and you'll choose your answer on Edpuzzle, and then we'll go over it. So for each statement, decide if it's true or false, and we're going to take a look at that. 4, 0 is the solution of the equation for line M. And we have there that 4, 0 is this point right here, and you are to decide whether or not that's the solution for line M. Indicate your answer on Edpuzzle. And you should have found that that was true because that falls on line M, and that dot is right on that line M, so that is a solution for line M. Number 2, the coordinates of point G make both the equation for line M and the equation for line N true. So we're going to take a look at point G. Point G is right here, and we want to decide whether or not that makes M and N true. And that is true because it falls on both those lines. So when a point is on the line, it makes that equation true. In the next one, number 3, x equals 0 is the solution for the equation line N. Line N is that red line. And x equals 0. X equals 0 is the y-axis, and so this is false, because that would not be line N. 2, 0, number 4, 2, 0 makes both the equation for line M and the equation for line N true. 2, 0 is right here. And that you want to decide whether or not that makes M and N true. And that should be false, since it does not fall on either of those lines. It cannot make them both true. Number 5, there's no solution for the equation line L that has y equal to 0. So again, L is the green line. We want to look at L being the green line. And where y is 0, there is no solution there, and you want to decide whether that's true or false. And that should be false. Now, it looks like you don't see where y equals 0, but you have to keep in mind that these are lines, and that would go on forever, and eventually we would get a point there where y is 0, and it would cross the x-axis eventually. So number 6, the coordinates of point H are solutions to the equation for line L. So looking at point H is here as I'm circling that in brown. And are they solutions for line L? And that is true because that falls on line L as well as line N. And then number 7, there are exactly 2 solutions of the equation for line L. That is false. A line is an infinite number of points, so there's an infinite number of spots, line L, and all the other lines. You would have points all along the line. That would be ordered pairs, that would be solution, and so there's actually an infinite number there. And then number 8, there's a point whose coordinate makes the equations of all 3 lines true. Is there an ordered pair that could make all 3 lines true at once? And that is false. That would only work if all 3 lines crossed at the same point, which they don't. All right, and so hopefully kind of looking into that, you let me know if you have any questions. You can submit them on Edpuzzle, and we'll see you tomorrow.